Hello y'all, this is Night of Zero and coming at you with another deck review. But first and foremost, I want to apologize to y'all. I know it's been a while since I've done a deck review, but that's neither here or there. So without further ado, let's dive into this deck review. For this one, this is my A to Z machine deck. Now, the bulk of this deck, it focuses on union monsters.
What are union monsters?
Good question. To put it simply, union monsters work like spell cards or equip cards. They equip to a monster and they provide certain bonuses to that monster. For an example, like they raise their attack power. But here, let's just dive right into it. Now, for this deck, I have a monster called A Assault Core. As you can see, level 4 machine union monster. Now, when this card is summoned, I can equip it to a machine type light monster on my field, and while it is equipped to that monster is unaffected by my opponent's card effects. Also, if that monster would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, I would send this card to the graveyard instead, and my monster would be able to remain on the field. Furthermore, when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, I can add Union Monster from my graveyard to my hand. Now, I run 2 copies of this bad boy. Moving on is B Buster Drake, 2 copies. As you can see, level 4, Machine Union. Now, he works pretty much the same as A Assault Core, but the difference is when this card is equipped to a monster, that monster is unaffected by my opponent's spell cards. And also, when this card leaves the field, I can add 1 union monster from my deck to my hand. And last but certainly not least, I run 2 copies of Sea Crusher Wyvern. Now, when this card is equipped to a monster, that monster is unaffected by my opponent's trap cards. Also, when this monster is sent from the field to the graveyard, I can special summon 1 union monster from my hand to the field. Now, these 3 cards equipped to a single monster would make that monster unaffected by my opponent's monster effects, spells, and traps. So they're pretty ideal for anybody that runs a machine type deck. But the true power of these 3 cards is that once they're either on the field or in the graveyard, they are used to fusion summon this bad boy right here called ABC Dragon Buster. He has 3,000 attack, 2,800 defense, and has a pretty neat effect in which during either player's turn, I can discard 1 card and banish 1 card that my opponent controls. Now, the thing about this card though is it's pretty easy to summon because you do not use a polymerization to fusion summon. Instead, all you gotta do is just banish the monsters from the field or from the graveyard. So pretty easy. You don't have to worry about keeping either A Assault Core, B Buster Drake, or Sea Crush Wyvern alive because you can banish them from your graveyard. Now, moving on from A, B, C to X, Y, Z, and not the monster, not the extra deck, but monsters. Now, for this deck in particular, I run 2 copies of X-Head Cannon. As you can see, it's a normal card, nothing fancy, 1,800 attack, level 4. But what makes this card good is its support. I run 2 copies of Y Dragon Head. It's a level 4 and a union monster. Now, this union monster can only be equipped to my X-Head Cannon. And once it's equipped, it gives my X-Head Cannon an additional 400 attack and defense. And as well as with my ABC union monsters, if my X-Head will be destroyed by battle, I would send this card to the graveyard instead, and my X-Head will be able to remain on the field. And next up, I run 1 copy of Z Metal Tank. I'm working on getting a second copy for this deck, but as with my Y Dragon Head, it can only be equipped to my X-Head Cannon. And once it's equipped to it, it gives my X-Head Cannon an additional 600 attack and defense points. And a quick correction here, it can be equipped to my either X-Head Cannon or to my Y Dragon Head for the same effect. Now, once you have these 3 on the field, you can fusion summon for XYZ Dragon Cannon. And as with my ABC Dragon Buster, you do not use a polymerization. All you need to do is keep them alive on the field, and remove them from play in order to fusion summon for this card. Now it has an 2800 attack and 26 defense, and as with my ABC, once per turn, but only during my turn, I can discard one card and banish one card that my opponent controls.
What a good effect.
Yes, it is. Now, alone, these two cards are pretty powerful in themselves. You know, one has 3,000, one has 2,800, and they can both banish cards from your opponent's side of the field. But now imagine them fusion together. You get one hell of a monster card. You get A to Z Dragon Buster Cannon. It has 4,000 attack and defense. They are used to fusion it's a fusion between ABC Buster and XYZ Dragon Cannon.
Now let me guess, no polymerization needed?
No polymerization needed. So that eliminates the cards you need for this deck. You know? So, as with ABC, during either player's turn, you can discard one card from your hand to banish one card that your opponent controls on his side of the field. And when this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can bring back from your banished zone ABC Dragon Buster and XYZ Dragon Cannon.
Oh, that's a ridiculous effect.
And that is why it's recommended that you run 3 copies of this bad boy in your extra deck, because even if it leaves the field, you can just immediately fusion summon it once again through its own effect. Now, once you have this card on the field, though, it'll be wise to quickly equip them with your Union monsters, from A Assault Core, B Buster, and C Crushing One, to pretty much have an unbeatable monster that's unaffected by your opponent's monster effects, spells, and trap cards. Now, moving on to other fusions that I run in this deck, I run 1 copy of V Tiger Jet and W Wing Capsule. They're nothing to brag about. Once you have them both on the field, they're used to fusion summon V Tiger Capsule. And like every other fusion in this deck, you do not use a polymerization. All you gotta do is banish them while they're both on the field. And this card is nothing to brag about. 2,000 attack, 21 defense. Its effect is that you can change the position of one of your opponent's monsters that this card battles. So in reality, it's nothing big. The only reason I have them in this deck is so I can use them for fusion summoning for one of my all-time favorite cards, VWXYZ Dragon Capsule Cannon. Now, it has 3,000 attack and 2,800 defense. And as you can probably already guess what I'm going to say, you do not use a polymerization to bring this card out.
It's pretty good, man.
Now, besides being able to discard one card from my hand to banish cards on my opponent's side of the field, when this card battles, I can also change the position of the monster that this card is battling. So if your opponent is playing defense, you can use this effect to change the monster into attack position and take him out.
And you could also switch an attack position monster to defense position if it has more attack power than this card.
Good point. So this is a valuable card to have in this deck, and to be honest, it's an old card, and it's a card that it's a card that I had a special place in my heart. And as you can also note, that it's a machine light attribute, which is important to say because I can also equip them with A, B, or C.
Some good effects right there.
Yep. And the last fusion that I run in this deck involves a Cyber Dragon and a Chimeric Fortress Dragon. And as you can see, it has 0 attack and defense. That is because the attack of this card is times by the number of fusion material monsters that you use to bring it out. So base case scenario, if I can banish 5 monsters in order to have 5,000 attack power. But with cybernetic fusion support, I can bring this guy out by either using material to fuse it with from either my hand, deck, and or graveyard. So the potential that this card has in an all machine types deck is pretty incredible. And just in case I pull Cybernetic Fusion, but I don't have a Cyber Dragon, I use the spell card Fusion Tags in order to bring out this bad boy out. Now, moving on to spells and traps, it's essential to have a copy of Rollout 1 to 2, Union Scrambler, once again 1 to 2 copies. I run 1 copy of Return from the Different Dimensions. This card allows me to bring back as many as I possibly can banished monsters by paying half my life points. But the flip side of that is that they have to go back into the banish zone at the end of my phase. Union Scrambler allows me to bring back banished light machine type normal monsters or Union monsters from back to the field, which would allow me to fusion summon once again real quick for either ABC or XYZ Dragon Cannon. Then I run a copy of Magnet Force to protect my machines, intermissional matter transporter, rare metamorphosis to power up my machines, a trap jammer, a mirror force, a dark coffin, because why the hell not, a grand horn of heaven, and a bottomless trap hole.
Those are all just standard traps that you would want in your decks, you know?
For the most part. Next up, spell cards. Now, this spell card is a field spell card. It's very essential for this deck. I'm working on getting more copies, but it's Union Hanger. Then I run 2 copies of Front Line Base, 1 copy of Magnet Reverse, 1 copy of Twin Twisters, Soul Charge, Limit Removal, and a copy of Pot of Greed and Wave Motion Cannon, just because why the hell not? Now, last but not least, I run 2 copies of Gold Gadget, 1 copy of Cyber Jar, and 1 copy of Blast Sphere.
We all know Cyber Jar is a hard card to fight against.
It's a very trolly card, if you ask me. But, you know, once again, why the hell not? Now, my personal rating for this deck, there's definitely room for improvement. There are some things that I can tinker with here and there, but I was never much of a machine type deck until the support for ABC and XYZ came out. But overall, my rating for this deck would be an 8. Some of the weaknesses for this deck would be having Union monsters, like I said, are like equipped spell cards that take up your back row. And also, if by taking out, like, for example, my Y Dragon Head and my Z Metal Tech that are equipped to my X Head Cannon, I won't be able to fusion summon for XYZ Dragon Cannon, which then in turn won't let me to bring out the ultimate card, A to Z Dragon Buster Cannon.
I would say it's actually a pretty good deck. It's very devastating, especially if you can't like stop the combos. I do look against this deck all the time, and once he gets those cards out, it's really hard to stop.
Yes, and that's the thing. You want to get your Union monsters out as quickly as possible. That's why you need multiple copies of Union Hanger. That's why you need multiple copies of Frontline Base, because they bring out your Union monsters real quick. You know? Same thing for Rollout.
Yep. It's a good deck, though. As for our next deck profile, we're not too sure yet.
But I did promise, and I will deliver a deck review on one of my older decks from way back when I was a little Bobby, called LV deck. I'm just having a little trouble finding my old cards, but that will be up on this channel, and hopefully soon.
Yeah, we've been putting it through a lot of testing, and it just needs a lot of work before we can upload it to the channel. But it will be ready. So that is something that will come out in the near future. So yeah.
So just like, comment, and well, until next time.
See ya.